what's great about your program, your team, everything that's involved is it just totally checked all the boxes for what, and a lot of boxes I didn't even know needed checked.
Hi, I'm Wyatt.
And I'm Grace.
And you're listening to Our Dad and your host of the Vacation Rental Revolution podcast.
What's up, guys? Welcome back to another episode of the Vacation Rental Revolution podcast. I'm your host, Shawn Moore, and we are back with our Friday interviews with short-term rental investors. Those of you that are longtime listeners, you know that we do shows within the show. Every Monday, we bring in experts called Experts Corner. Wednesday, we do Whiskey Wednesday with Dave and I sit down and talk about things going on in the short-term rental world. We answer your questions. And Friday are my favorite episodes where we bring in successful short-term rental investors, and they get to share their stories, the ups, the downs, and everything in between. Today, we've got Joe Sparacino. I was going to try to pronounce it like you told me, Joe, but I forgot, and it was already that long. So Sparacino is how I'm going with. So
that's okay, buddy. I'll give you a pass this time, but I'm going to need you to try that at some point in this
fill me in on how I say it again. Sparacino. There we go.
Hungry for pizza.
Yeah, there we go. So Joe, I appreciate you joining us, man. This is going to be a fun conversation. We can catch up, and I always like to start with the background and what pays the bills. What the background as far as your professional background is, what got you interested in real estate, and then ultimately led you to short-term rentals. So let's start there, and we'll take the conversation wherever it goes.
Yes, sir. I'll try to be quick, but got kind of an odd story. Grew up in the middle of nowhere, Kansas, farm boy, middle of between two towns, 500 and 1,000, 20 minutes outside of town. Loved wide open spaces. Grew up playing music, playing piano, and really enjoyed that. And was in a small town, so I could be play the football and also do all the musicals and everything, which was a great opportunity. And then I got into college and paid my way through college doing dueling pianos. That was my job, which
that's awesome.
Free beer, $100, and got to flirt with bachelorettes.
Yeah.
Not a bad deal. And then I went to dental school. I wanted, my father's a physician, and I just did not want to work that much. So everybody was like, my uncles are surgeons and things, and they were like, go be a dentist, work 3 or 4 days a week, and, not have to worry about insurance companies and all that kind of stuff. I did that and always kind of wanted to get back to music. So I went to Creighton Dental up in Omaha, and once I saw that I was going to owe $350K after school, I was like, I got to figure something out quick. So, I Googled best market in America, and it was, Alaska or Laredo, Texas. And I said, Laredo's only 3 hours from Austin. I could play music up in Austin. And so I, right out of school, opened took on $1 million and more in debt and opened a 7,000 square foot facility to fix, poor kids' teeth, learned Spanish, opened 5 other locations in Texas over the next 5 or 6 years. So I was really trying to get pedal to the metal, pay my debt off, get back to playing music, and if I could help, poor kids in the interim, that was a cool, alignment of priorities. So that gets me to, a few years ago. And then we started a company that did dental memberships for groups of dental practices. And that really took kind of my main focus as far as business and income and things for several years. We just recently sold that to private equity in 2024. So that brings me to the real estate journey.
Yeah, you so a lot of your, like, you went to school to practice to be a practicing dentist, but it doesn't sound like that was the when you dove in, it was a lot more on the business side of it, right? Structuring different business opportunities and building that practice up and in different niches and different ways. So how did you ever really practice dentistry? Like were you a practicing dentist for a long time, or it sounds like a lot of that was structuring these business deals?
Yeah, it was always a means to an end. I was never passionate about teeth. I didn't know anything about it. I've never had braces. I don't even go to the dentist. I haven't been since dental school.
Last time you had somebody check your teeth was in dental school, another student, huh?
Isn't that hilarious? It's ridiculous. But
that's awesome.
I chew Zen or whatever, and I I won't go into that. That's silly. But yeah, so it was a means to an end. And I just wanted work-life balance. I would have, there was a choice in college. I was playing for a pop band, and we were starting to have success. We were opening for bigger acts and things. And I remember talking to my mom, and she's like, look, just go knock it out. You'll have a plan B for the rest of your life, which is what, my DDS has been. And now I love it because I can just use it for like service. I can go on mission trips and that kind of stuff. So, headed to Africa to go fix Maasai warrior teeth in March, which would be super crazy. These guys fight lions as like part of their, coming of age, which is nuts. I don't know how. I hope I don't screw it up.
Yeah, don't talk back to any of them.
Don't piss them off.
You better be nice. Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, it was always a means to an end. I like healthcare, whatever. I like helping people. I like talking to people. So it aligned with a lot of goals, and it just so happens that the business opportunities were really good at that point too. They still are, but it's been pretty picked over with private equity and bigger money coming in, and now the insurance companies are squeezing everyone. So it's kind of gone through the journey that medicine did, but like on a 15-year lag. So I got lucky to get in when I did, and now I'm really out of dentistry.
Nice. And so that leads you to those next opportunities. And so let's it sounds like into real estate. Did you immediately get attracted to short-term rentals? Or did you try other avenues in real estate first?
I did a bunch of different stuff. I probably started 4 or 5 businesses within the time that in the last year, where I started a consulting business. I started all these different things, and none of them they just didn't check as many boxes as I needed. And what's great about your program, your team, everything that's involved is it just totally checked all the boxes for what, and a lot of boxes I didn't even know needed checked until I got into the coursework was really, tax mitigation, huge, right? Had a liquidity event last year, wanted to cut down on some taxes. I'm also, I'm a Bitcoiner. I'm really into Bitcoin. Yeah. When I sell any sort of business, and when I have, I use it as a savings account. It's a savings account that goes up 40, 50% a year on average, and you don't pay taxes on. Pretty good. So I'm trying to also diversify away from that because, especially, during the Biden administration, there was a lot of, kind of clamping down on that area, which, I'm not being political at all. It just is what it is. Mm-hmm. So I wanted to look for some diversification. And, the tax thing is huge. And then also, I have a 2-year-old, a 5-year-old, a wife that's way prettier than I am, and just want to give them a fun experience. And we love to travel. So just started looking at places that would be fun for us to use as well, which aligns so much with the philosophy that you have.
Love it. And it's, it's interesting. I love hearing the backstory because, you've got a really diverse background as far as navigating all these different avenues. Right before we hit record, you were telling me about the album you guys just released.
Yeah.
Let's talk about that. I know it's a real estate podcast, but let's talk a little bit about
get
it.
A little background on Shawn here. This is a 6'5" cowboy. Okay, this guy, he just alley-ooped a 5'7" guy, and I'm gonna dunk this.
Okay, so I was just setting you up. Just teeing it up for you, right?
Yeah. Yeah, so Dr. Joe is my musician name, and I just released an album 3 days ago, January 3rd. Please check it out. It's actually my full, most of my time focus now is trying to rebuild my music career that got really knocked out of place with COVID, like so many other artists. So yeah, check it out if you want to. I'm very active on it, producing new music and playing, here in the Denver area. So.
Dr. Joe is the and so where would we find it? Just go on to like Apple Music and stuff and
Apple,
find it?
Spotify, wherever you consume music. Dr. No Dot Joe, If you're a Walker, Walker, Texas Ranger fan, a lot of my music is on those shows. I've had some other shows.
What type is it? Pop? Like what type of genre?
Rock and roll, piano, rock and roll. Like if you imagine maybe Leon Russell from the 70s meets maybe like an Elton John kind of situation, but with fuzz, like more fuzzy rock and roll stuff.
Okay, that's going to be. I'm telling you, it's going to be on my download list. I'm going to be working out tomorrow morning, and I'm going to be listening.
I'm a fan of you. We need to switch the table a little bit.
Hey, I will definitely be a fan. And so if I'm not, I'll tell you. You know, I've got to like it.
Request is honest feedback. If you give me honest feedback, I appreciate it.
Yeah, we'll do it. So those of you listening, okay, let's all go give Joe a listen and see what we like.
Streams.
What's that?
Bump those streams, team.
Heck yeah, for sure. That's awesome. It's fun. You know, it's fun to have those, like, you know, that seems like obviously as we've talked about the background, that's obviously a passion project for you, that you love that music side, that creativity side. Kind of my daughter is super musical. And when you have that, like, and you watch it, I'm like a polar opposite. If you could be super musical, whatever the 180 degree opposite is of that would be me. I love listening to music, but I'm not musical. And in watching her and her passion for it, and just like the creativity, and like just being able to like you just feel the music, and she can just feel music. It's really kind of crazy watching it.
She's a ballerina, right? Is that right?
So, and she's a ballerina. She does a lot of musicals, though. She does a lot of cool. She performs a lot on stages. Wants to. She's actually trying out to be on, hoping to get a Broadway show this year. She's been doing a lot of stuff in Utah on the higher higher kind of musical scene here, and wanting to expand out. But but that's why they say she's such a good dancer, is because she's so musical. And where they like her ballet coaches, she's actually goes and does a lot of the you know, top in the world. Like she was accepted to the Royal Ballet and John Cranko in Germany this last year. Wow. And so a lot of big ones, but they say, her teachers always say, you know, they can teach a lot of the technique and all that stuff, but what they can't teach, and it's hard for them to teach, is the musicality, that and being able to like feel that music and be able to move your body with it. And she's really good with that. And they say you can't teach that. And it's just kind of a natural thing. It's interesting, and I think a lot of musicians have that
talent. And, you know, just keep pouring water on that flower, you know?
Yeah. And letting it grow, right? Because it's not a world that Teresa or I really understand. We're learning it from her. And then listening to you talk about your stuff as well. It's just, it reminds me of that, because I'm always like in awe of anytime somebody is like just really talented with something and really has a passion and a love for it. It's always fun to watch and just watch them like do their thing. So hey man, I'm excited to go. I'll be looking up Dr. Joe on
cool. I'll
my
shoot
Apple,
some links, and I'll look
Music.
out for, what's your daughter's name again?
Grace Moore is her name.
Grace. Yeah. I hear her introduction every time. She's probably already spoken on this episode, right?
Yeah, she introduced us, right? And she'll close it out for us. And so her and Wyatt. It was funny, Joe, because it's funny when we were you came to visit us in Utah, and you know, they met a few of the people there, and my kids and Teresa met you, and they still talk about you. They're like, hey, remember the dentist with the big beard? And I'm like, yeah, Joe. Like, they're like, he was so awesome. I'm like, yeah, we'll have to get him back in town.
I would love to. Your family is extremely sweet. I mean, you know, it's interesting. You talk about the music thing. What is your why? That is my why, is to free up my times. It obviously provide for my family and things. You know, I think having a passion for something, anything, you got to have a why, or else you're just not going to get in the trenches and get dirty and take risks. You know?
Right. And I think that, you know, and that was leading you into this path of short-term rentals. You mentioned your wife and your two kids, and saying, hey, listen, I wanted to provide this life that had some excitement, some fun, and some experiences. And I think that you were kind of getting to that point when we were leading into short-term rentals. And again, it goes down to the why, right? And so, you know, it sounds like that was one of the reasons why you got interested in this lane of real estate.
Totally. And it's, you know, we spoke a little bit about it earlier, but it's been a really fast, that's why I just completely recommend Vodacy. I would say you guys are charging an order of magnitude under what the kind of value that I've been delivered thus far. I literally, what is it? I guess it's the first of the year in 2025. I joined in May of 24. I was already under contract, by like, I think literally June or July,
right?
Something like that. We closed in August, and it was a long closing. So, and we bought the best property in the market. It has been stupid easy. All we do is order a little bit of furniture and take some photos and stuff. Like, I'm obviously probably on the other end as far as turnkey, but the education has been so quick. And even like we said, my mistakes. I think every mistake is an education. Some more expensive than others. I would have made a lot more expensive mistakes, and my tuition would have been a lot higher. It's almost like you're providing a scholarship or something when you cut the corners and just go to the source of someone who's done it. So yeah, that's where I'm sitting. Is I've got a ton of knowledge now. I've got a fantastic property. I've got plans to grow, and I really appreciate what you guys have put together here.
Yeah, I appreciate you saying that. And it's an interesting game. And we'll talk about a lot of people asking me, should I buy turnkey? Should I buy something that's a value add? Well, and if they buy turnkey, a lot of times they think that, well, it's a turnkey property. It's already operating really well. Why would I need any sort of help? Why would I need anything else on the outside? But it's more than just the right property in the right area, right? And you did run down that turnkey road, and it makes it easier on the front end and easier in quotation marks by just saying you don't have to go through that full setup phase, right? You don't have to worry so much about that big setup phase because it's pretty much already in place. But there's still a lot of things you need to do to continue to operate at the top, to understand how to stay at the top, because competition continues to get bigger and better. And we have to do the same with our properties and our portfolio. But by understanding also why that property is operating at the top. And so you can keep doing some of that same stuff, and really understanding and being able to have that baseline of education of saying, hey, this is what it takes to operate. Here's where I can see some of the holes in the boat. Maybe here's some things that I can see in the market that may be coming up that I might need to make some adjustments to. But there's a lot of stuff like you mentioned that you still need to understand even on a turnkey property, right?
It's the turnkey decision came to be, part of it was the whole, crawl, walk, run thing too, right? Like there's a million variables with a total setup, a value add, like you said. Why not just cut that task list down to like 20-30% of the task list and, master that. Get a nice asset. Even if I just screw everything up, it's still, going to appreciate based on the buy. But yeah, you can only, what is it? The unknown unknowns are the things that are going to bite you in the butt. Right. So I think it's always important to really get just even a bird's eye view of the whole picture, to understand, where you might make mistakes, or when you do make mistakes, you're going to make mistakes, right? Like I made a very funny mistake. We talked about this before, but I thought I could come in and take over management. I was going to be some guru, watching the YouTubes on how to use OwnerRez and all that stuff. And, I think I'm some whiz kid or something. Didn't happen. I went down, I'm trying from 2 states, 3 states away, manage a construction project. Oh, it's my friend, dad, and he's real great and everything's cheap and all that stuff. And we end up with totally wrong. We put a wall up to split a bedroom, and it doesn't have a door.
Oh, geez.
A, B, none of the electronics work. This was this is my, expensive mistake, right? Or one of them. The other one was I wanted to, so it's a fully managed, full service management company, and they are actually really great. I came into it, playing tough, trying to negotiate, and just really key to keeping them on the line to say, hey, I'm going to give you guys a trial period. If by that point we haven't, met my goals, then I'm going to let you go. Little to my knowledge, what is it called? Crossing off the whole calendar or blocking the whole calendar just tanked the algo. Right. So I was getting no bookings and I'm just sitting there shooting myself in the foot, adding a bunch of stuff to my plate. And, like we said before, our greatest asset is time. And if I'm, so the numbers just didn't work for me to be wasting my time trying to manage it. They do it better than I do. And so I've opened the calendar. Everything's booking like crazy. I'm getting 3-4 bookings a day. They're doing a great job. So yeah.
And it's, the management decisions is such a huge decision in the short-term rental world. And, I think that there's a lot of misconceptions that it is just super easy to plug and play and you put the right software tools in place and everything's just going to happen. Right. It's more than that. Like we have a lot of members and a lot of our 1% club members that you're a part of, right? You're operating at the very top of the market in Sedona. And we've got a lot of members in our 1% operating at the very top of their markets and they do self-manage. So I'm not saying that it's just, you have to really weigh your options and you have to decide where you want to spend your time and your effort because sure, can you manage it? Yes. Can you figure it out? Absolutely. But does it take time and does it take effort? And is it like having a bit of a second job and a side hustle? Yes. And if you don't want that, then you probably shouldn't self-manage and you probably should let the people who do it really well and find the person in the management company that does really well, because that's another really hard part of the process. Sounds like this one was already in place where you didn't have, like, they were already operating well. They already understood the property. They understood the market. They had some good performance on this property, but sometimes that's not the case. And you just decide, hey, I don't want to manage this. And that's another big undertaking, is finding the right management partner. But once you do that, then you can step away. And I've always, for me, my time is better spent doing other things than managing my properties. It just is what it is. I mean, like you said, time is our most valuable resource, and I want to get the most leverage out of my time, and that is not managing my properties. That doesn't mean that somebody shouldn't manage their properties, but you came to that realization that wasn't for you either. You got a lot going on. There's a lot of things that you are passionate about, probably more than managing these properties, that you would rather spend your time doing, right?
That's why I think you guys are such a good fit. Is I don't know of any short-term guru, and maybe I just haven't spent that much time looking, but that has this mindset of, it's like, the tax benefits enormous, right? The appreciation enormous, cash flow. I love that cash flow so counterintuitively is kind of almost at the bottom of the list because, like you were saying, it is another job. And I look at guys, we were at the meeting in Utah, which was really fun. But there's people I'm like, I don't know how you wear all those hats, do all those things, like Ned with running 11 dental practices and his wife is managing the places. It's such an individual choice. That's what it really comes down to. Yep. And I just love that we were almost given this option of, it's okay if there's a full service management company. Yep. Yes, you might make some money, cash flow wise, but mostly you're going to pay this. Other people are going to pay this awesome thing off, and it's going to go up in value, and you're going to cut down your taxes. There's just so many things that fit me personally, and I know many other people that have good earning jobs or whatever they have, are in a similar position where they want to diversify and try something else. So I totally agree, and I always double down on, and I don't know that anybody else that talks about, and I'm pretty versed on the other, coaches out there, if you will, and the gurus out there and the people that talk about, how to succeed in the short-term rental investing game. And I don't know anybody that talks about that they hire full service managers outside of me, but there's a reason for it, right? It takes 30% of your gross revenue. And so it cuts into your cash flow significantly. So is it way easier for somebody to go out and promote, hey, just self-manage is easy, and you get a
18, 20% cash on cash return right out of the gate. And I'm a big guy saying, I'm looking for a 4 to 5% cash on cash return because I bake in full service management, and that's not my ultimate, and I just don't think it's the biggest lever. Even at a 20% cash on cash return and a high cash flowing property, you will still, over a 5-10 year time horizon, your tax advantages, your tax benefits, and the appreciation that you pull and the note pay down that people are paying off these properties in these nice areas for you, they far outweigh the cash flow that you make from these properties. Like, it's not even close, especially in the first 5 years. And so, I'm going to focus on the bigger levers that I can pull to build my wealth. And, and like you said, though, it's a very personal choice, and you should understand the pros and cons of both of those choices and understand, what it looks like to run down either of those roads. And that's what's more important for us as we talk about it. Like, I don't manage my properties, but we have a lot of members who do, right? And there's people who succeed at a very high level doing it. And there's people like me that build properties, and you that build portfolios that we don't want to manage them. And we want to use our time and efforts somewhere else so that we can continue to build that portfolio, and it doesn't take it and turn it into a second job for us. And it's, like you said, it's a personal choice that we look at and say, what are our property goals? That's why we always start. What are the property goals? What is our North Star? What are we trying to build? And then we basically build the portfolio around that. And like you mentioned, I 100% don't think cash flow is, I never chase cash flow. I mean, I don't like negative cash flowing properties. I want my properties to cash flow, but I think it's a very inexperienced investor when they come and tell me, I can almost immediately know they haven't invested in real estate for very long when they tell me they need a 15 or a 20% cash on cash return and they're chasing that cash flow, right? Because if you're chasing cash flow, what you're really trying to do is replace income. And if you're trying to replace income, there's other things you can do, side hustles that will pay you better than this type of a side hustle. This is more, in my opinion, building wealth, building a portfolio, ultimately that produces high enough cash flow that you have those options to quit your job. But when you're chasing it right out of the gate, a lot of times you don't make the best decisions long term.
100%. And I mean, I told this to my wife recently. We were, in the middle of deciding, and it was a hard decision. It makes me sick to, with cash flow. Like my gut is always, no, cash flow first. Got to figure this out. I'll just take it on. I'll automate it. Blah blah blah. Right. And in my heart, I knew if I were to manage that thing, I would not be that excited about getting more properties. You talk about property goals. That's a big hidden danger of not reaching your property goals, is getting sick of the job.
Yeah.
So
100%. Yeah. And it is, because it's a job. You're now a management company, and there's economies of scale in management. So really the only way it's worth it is if you build a bigger portfolio or you start managing other people's properties, and then it becomes a job. And if you're not really excited about that and you don't enjoy that job, don't build it, right? Build it to where you don't have to have a job with your portfolio.
Well, yeah, exactly. And another point is, it actually is kind of a plan B as well. Let's say, S hits the fan or whatever, and you lose your job or you have some sort of financial hardship. Guess what? You just take over management, and, it's like a built-in, you're the boss of this little company that you can just hire yourself if need be.
You had to.
I love that resilience aspect too.
Yeah. Love it. Love it. Awesome. So we've got the property in Sedona. Where we go from here? Like, what are the next steps when you start talking about scaling and building? Yeah,
definitely need I think Sarah with Huga Chalet does such a good job with her Instagram. So I want to get an Instagram, account going for Sedona Radiance. It's just begging for it. It's a really pretty place with a, beautiful location, and there's just so much to do. So got to do that. Definitely going to knock into the maximizer as well. After I photos are happening tomorrow, getting some new photos, did some things, switched some things around, added a bedroom that was,
with no door at first.
You wouldn't be able now we got this little, you have to go through a closet. We're going to switch it up and make it better and everything. But I don't think you'd fit, man. You'd have to.
I'll be ducking. I'll ducking down a little bit.
Exactly. Yeah.
I'll draw straws and make sure that I don't pull that straw for that bedroom.
Exactly. But that's what you don't want, right? Is that someone to feel like they got the short end of the stick. So we're going to try to clean that up. But as far as new properties, the little list in my head is there's kind of three areas I'm really interested in. There's, the Fairbanks, Alaska area,
Yeah.
just a lot. I got my
Yeah, the Alaska hat. I'm with you on that one.
I just love, it's the final frontier.
Yeah.
So much to love up there. I fly airplanes, so I'd love to, my dream is someday to have a little, backcountry plane out there and mess around. And then looking at Hastings Mesa, which is by Telluride, they got some horrible laws. I got to figure out how to skirt or work with them. That's the wrong word. But I just love that area, and I've got some ideas on some interesting kind of experiential things. So like we said, crawl, walk, run. First one's turnkey. These next ones, I think I'm a little more open to getting a little spicy with value add and development. And then Costa Rica, I just love the culture, the place, no standing military, the only country in the entire Western Hemisphere without an army. Like, that's a pretty peaceful, stable government. Great healthcare. Their healthcare is like, I think on the world, whatever the world ranking is, like higher than the US as far as quality of care and cost and things. So, 5% of the global biodiversity of nature is in Costa Rica, which is nuts for a tiny country.
Right.
So, yeah.
So talk to me a little bit about Costa Rica. You and Chris are working on a few things down there, and one of the challenges when you go outside of the U.S., if you're investing as a non-citizen in different countries, and it applies to Costa Rica. And I always tell people there's two things you got to look at, and one is, what are your property ownership rights as a non-citizen of that country, right? And are they favorable or are they not favorable? And so we have to look at that. But the other one is financing options. A lot of times they're very limited, right? And tell me, because I know you guys are kind of tackling that aspect and trying to help investors get down there.
Yeah, so that was a huge boon to joining Vodyssey as well. As I found a new, he's one of my best friends now. Amazing person. Chris and Claire Trainer are really great. They actually turned me on to Sedona, but they have an interest in Costa Rica as well. Chris is kind of a wild guy. He went down and bought a hotel, and I guess that's what you do.
Yeah.
Funny man. And yeah, so, my journey started with the first things I was posting on the school community with you guys was who knows how to finance something in Costa Rica, because it takes, 12 to 18 months to get a mortgage. They, take you to, you have to get a colonoscopy to even have you considered by the bank. It's, just crazy. And, I know I think there's a history of some money laundering and, gambling and all kinds of other stuff that's gone on as far as the reasons why there's, such an onerous anti-money laundering, know your customer situation there. So, Chris had the idea, let's figure out how to finance investors down there. And there's, you wait 6 to 18 or what is it? 12 months or something for a mortgage. The mortgage is 12%. Well, hey, we could find investors that, are interested in getting a yield, like that in the double digits and finance faster. As long as we have a really favorable loan to value ratio and, the loan's secure and the land secure and the title's clear. And then, like you said, the other aspect is definitely the property rights. Apparently, in Costa Rica, you have the same exact property rights as a citizen. So that was a really big box to check. And that's definitely the best that I'm aware of in Central America. So, yeah, we're just kind of getting.
So is that live? Are you guys financing investors? What's the time frame and for you guys launching that?
Yeah, so we've gone through a journey. Chris and I both have personally made several loans down there. It's wild, a person will, a young kid will inherit land down there. The land's worth, $2 million or something. And they want a loan for like 200,000 to develop it. And so you've got a literal 10% loan to value on this super secure land. And they're paying, 12 to 15% interest rate. It's like, I don't know of anything that's more secure than that.
Right.
And then we also have a partner down there who's a lawyer that he has offices all over Costa Rica, and he actually feet on the ground, goes and underwrites these locations and these borrowers. So right now we have a lot of like I said, personal loans out, but I'm not sure we're going to be taking LPs. I think the better path is going to be to try to get a line of credit from like a, family office or banks that, we could have an arbitrage and, they give us money at 9 or 10%. We loan it out at 12 to 15 and while being secure. So that's kind of the current path. So if anybody's a banker out there and wants to go play golf in Costa Rica, let's talk.
Yeah. What about if we got a listener that's an investor that wants to buy down there and is looking for a faster option? Is that going to be something we want to post on the show notes at all?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Reach out to us. We can offer financing really, really fast and make sure that, the land is, going to hold its value or has a great potential. Definitely a place you really want to self-educate and have someone down on the ground level, because there's just a lot of nuance with things like a water letter. You want to make sure that the land has water, right, and provably has water. That's a big one. And then definitely location is hugely important, because it can be an order of magnitude based on a few miles away. So reach out to us, info@puravitacapital.co. And we'd love to get your feedback and see how we can help you.
Love it. And we'll post a lot of this on the show notes. We'll make sure we got they can go download some music. We can look at your property. We can look at some financing in Costa Rica. I mean, you guys, and Chris has been on the podcast, a few episodes ago, and you guys, I can't imagine two better guys to run down that road. But you both always have all kinds of stuff going on. So it's pretty awesome to hear the story.
Hey man, you only got so much time, right?
Love it. I love it. Well, listen, Joe, this has been an amazing conversation. The end of these episodes, first and foremost, thank you for joining me. These are, I love that you guys are willing to let other people listen in on our conversations and like just catching up and sharing the good, the bad, the ugly, and the journey. And, it's always inspirational to so many people just hearing, different perspectives, different avenues, different backgrounds, diving into this game and hearing how it's worked out for you and kind of the path forward. But at the end of the episodes, I always like to say, and the last question and kind of the last word is, what if you go back to your younger self, like if you had to give yourself some advice, what would you tell yourself diving in, knowing what you know now, starting now with the information and the knowledge that you have right now? What would you tell yourself?
I think this is good general advice, and something that I really try to practice is only listen to people that have done the thing that you want to do. I get hit up by financial advisors that are 29. They got their little whatever certification, and they think they're going to tell me about how to make money. They have a job. I don't want a job. It's like so Shawn has been doing this since 2006. There is not a person on the planet that has more experience with short-term rentals, and he's successful, and he has 3,000 of the most successful investors in the world that are part of his community. There's a reason, right? This is experience. So listen to people that have done the thing that you want to do.
Love it. And I couldn't agree more. I mean, early on in my career, I would listen to anybody and everybody that seemed like they had the next shiny object. The older and older I got, the more mistakes I had, the more experience that I gained. It's the first thing I look at before I will take advice or listen to somebody or pay somebody as a mentor is, are they doing what I want to do? And do they have the experience do they, like, one of the things I really look for, Joe, a lot is, how many scars do they have? How many bumps in the road have they had to go through? Right. Because, especially it's really applicable in our world in short-term rentals is there's a lot of people I kind of always say that they're still wet behind the ears when it comes to investing in short-term rentals. And a lot of them have only seen the good times, right? They've never really had a lot of challenges. They never really went through major market shifts. And so that's another thing that I look for as well is, okay, have you have you gone through any hard times, and how did you handle it? What did you learn? Because I can promise you, my experience and the knowledge that we have is because I've made so damn many mistakes along the way, right? It's stacking up those scars and that experience and those learning lessons so that other people don't have to make them, right? And so we can pass the baton. I can't tell you how many of those 3,000 members and it's not even counting on one hand. We have probably 100 members or more that have bigger and better portfolios than I've ever had. Right. And that is what, to me, that is so awesome, right? It's awesome to be able to see other people take what we've learned, pass the baton to them, and then they can run further and faster than we ever have been able to ourselves. And so, it's not just my collective experience now as well in this game. It's the collective experience of our entire Vodyssey family, which is why it just continues to exponentially get bigger and better, which is really, really fun.
That's the thing too. I mean, that's a huge, I would say, I don't know, might be 70 to 80% of the value of Vodyssey is the community.
Right. 100%.
Sarah came, she lives in Denver. I went out to coffee with her and, she educated me on what she's doing. Everybody has been so helpful and willing to share and gracious. And like I said, one of my best friends I got from the community too. So there's not just your experience. Like you said, there's several others that are building ridiculous portfolios that have, are in the fast lane. So yeah, wide depth of experience and knowledge to glean from. It's not some Instagram influencer with flashing Maseratis or whatever to get you to be a co-host or whatever it is. This is long-term legacy, serious people.
Yeah, love it. And I hear that all the time. And I truly agree 100%. As proud as I am of the coaching, as proud as I am of the coursework and kind of the path that we put together, no question, by far and away, the most valuable thing that we have at this stage is our community, our Empire Club community, because of that collective knowledge, experience, and everything else. And it's not even, it's the coaching and the course are not even close seconds to the community that we've got put together. And so, yeah, I couldn't agree more. Just because of that experience. It's just hard to tap into that type of knowledge base and experience and lessons learned and things you want to avoid, things you want to double down on. It's just hard to find that anywhere. And we're really proud of that and really proud of being a part of that. So it's been really fun. So Joe, you are a big part of that as well, my friend, and appreciate you being a part of it. And I appreciate you joining us on the podcast today, sharing those stories, sharing, your journey with us. Can't wait to see what you and Chris are doing down in Costa Rica. Can't wait to download that music. Those of you who are listening, we'll put a lot of links in the show notes today, not just the property links. I always say success leaves clues. Definitely go check out those properties and kind of reverse engineer what's working so that you can see what successful short-term rentals investors are doing. But go download some music while you're doing it. Go check out if you're interested in getting down to Costa Rica. Look at some financing. Go check out those things. So I said we'll make sure that all that stuff's in the show notes and point you guys in the right direction. And as always, thank you for spending your time with us. We know how valuable your time is, you guys, and I'm always appreciative of you spending with us. At the end of every episode, I ask you two favors. The first one is, if you like this show, share it. I don't run any sponsorships or ads or anything. I don't like people telling me what I can and can't talk about or promote products that I may or may not use. And so we don't do that here. So the only way the show grows is if you guys share it. And so if you know anybody else that would want to walk into this game with their eyes wide open, be a part of these conversations, share the show. If you got more than 30 seconds, like it, review it on whatever platform you're watching or listening on. And the final, most important thing that I ask you at the end of every episode, pick that one thing you can do today, start building that life you don't want to take a vacation from. Cheers, my friends.